here on the first day of the Big 12 Media Days. And Scott Satterfield has joined us, Cincinnati head coach now, but also in the past, and he joins us again here today. Thank you for being a part of the show. You've been with us before. Your thoughts, I thought I heard you say all 5 of your offensive linemen are returning starters. That reminds me of what Neil Brown said last year when a lot of people overlooked his football program and they went on to have one heck of a year, because isn't it where it all starts?
I think so. You're right. I was thinking this time last year, West Virginia was picked toward the bottom, and I'm looking at I'm like, man, they got a bunch of guys back up front. They got some other guys back. Like, I think they're going to be pretty good, and they were. Hopefully we'll be a lot better, and I think we will. You think about if it starts up front, you got 5 offensive linemen, and really our next 2 that played as well are back. So top 7, your starting running back who had 1,000 yards is back. Your top receiver's back. Tight end room is upgraded. So I feel like offensively we'll be in a really good place this year, and to be able to move the ball and hopefully score some points. It'll come down to the quarterback play, though. We all know that. You got to have good quarterback play no matter what level you're at. So we've got a lot of competition in that room. So, yeah, I'm excited about our offense.
So, Coach, Paul, but no one's listening right now. I've heard you getting interviewed. Everybody asks. You can just go ahead and break the news to us on your starting quarterback right here if you want to.
Yeah, we're going to compete and let all 3 of those guys. And,
it is a political year.
Well, that's true, but we're competing. 2 of them are brand new. Like, one of them transferred in January. The other one's a freshman that transferred in. So, you're going to give these guys an opportunity to compete and learn the offense. And, we'll see where it's at in camp. I do think that, potentially you're going to have to play all these guys. I just think, this day and age in college football, particularly when you run an offense where the quarterback's going to run a little bit like ours do, and, they may get dinged up. So you got to get other guys ready to play.
This is a completely new league, essentially, right?
Yeah.
With the 8 new teams, and there's you can't really look at last year's schedule and say, well, if we flip this game and that game, because a lot of those aren't on your schedule anymore. If I asked Joey McGuire this earlier, if I told you 12 teams will probably have a reasonable chance to win this once the season starts, would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I think they got a chance. It's crazy the depth of this league and how, the team, whoever finishes last in the league will have an opportunity to win anybody and that they play, because there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of good coaches, because if you're at home and let's say you're catching that good team on a bad night and all of a sudden they turn the ball over, you're going to beat them. You're going to beat them. It's I think about last year to Oklahoma State, they go to Central Florida. Central Florida, they beat the brakes off of them.
Out of nowhere.
Who would have thought that? And they were rolling at that time. And, I think it's wide open. But what it does say is that, listen, the staff and the team that does the best throughout that week preparing to play, they do have a great opportunity. And I think that's what our players like. That's what I think the fans know that. So it's just, man, that's what makes it exciting.
Dante Corleone, that was some big news. He's going to be out for the foreseeable future, I suppose. But just how did you guys handle that when you learned, and just internally, and obviously a devastating situation, but could be worse, I guess, is kind of the way to look at it, I suppose.
Yeah, our trainer and our medical team did an unbelievable job of identifying and doing some tests and finding out exactly what's going on with Dante, and come to find out some blood clots in his lungs, and then then you start, okay, wow, that sounds very serious, and it is. So you start doing research, and you're figuring out, well, there's other players that have played with that, and how can we maneuver that? So we're still seeing doctors. Dante's back working out with the team now, and he's training, and which is outstanding, and we'll see how it goes as we move forward. We're taking it day by day, but he's an integral part of our team and a great player, and obviously his health is number one, and then the plan is to be number 2, and so we'll see how that all works out. But I think Dante is optimistic that he'll be able to play and play at a high level. So we're hopeful for that to happen.
You did lose, a couple of skill players that were good for you last year, but it looks like you've kind of reloaded running back, wide receiver pretty well. And again, you said that it all comes down to, you're yet to be named quarterback, but do you feel they're walking into a better, more cohesive situation than maybe last year where, for you guys, new conference, tons of transfers in, it's your first year, all those different things kind of intersected together?
Well, yeah, we're in a much better position this year. Last year I didn't know or any of our guys could play or not at all. Any of them. You have no idea. Corey Kiner was a guy who rushed for the most he rushed for was 200-some yards, and then he gets 1,000. You know, you don't know that. You don't know who the starting guys are up front. And, you know, to have all those guys back, at least we have a baseline. Like, we know what they can do and where we are within this league and how we can compete with some guys. And so we knew we needed to get better depth-wise. Like, we didn't, you know, we got wore down in the second half of a lot of games and really in the last 3 games of the season, you know, losing. We just didn't have enough depth, I think, particularly on defense. We brought a lot of players in on that side of the ball. You know, we got a new defensive scheme on that side of the ball with, you know, Tyson Vite, who came from Iowa State. I was out there for 8 years. You know, so it's a completely different situation in my mind compared to last year. Now, you still got to go out and play at a high level and you know, do the things it takes to win. But you go into that thing blind last year. You had no idea. You know, so this year I feel, man, way better about the situation.
How can Corey Kiner be better coming off of what was a fantastic year?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the thing that we'd love to see from him is to get in the end zone more. You know, he ran the ball hard. He got a lot of first downs and broke a lot of tackles, but we got to get in the end zone. I mean, I think that's obviously the name of the game for us. You know, we moved the ball a lot, you know, but our scoring didn't match up with how well we moved it. So we got to find ways to get in the end zone, and Corey's a big part of that. And of him getting in the end zone, but also for us, once we get in the red zone, how can we get touchdowns instead of trying to settle for field goals?
Coach Whittingham mentioned that they're flying blind this year. They're the 4 teams. Some of them have played some Big 12 teams, but not many. And he's like, there's 5 or 6 opponents they have not seen or played against, and how they're having to use a lot of the analysts throughout the summer. You feel for him?
No.
Appreciate the honesty.
It's tough, man.
Hey, welcome, right? Yeah.
That's right. Welcome to the Big 12. You know, it's you know, it's kind of like learn on the fly a little bit, you know, and really it was interesting too. But, you know, we brought these 4 new teams, and for us, and this is our second year, I feel like, okay, we know the Big 12. Well, we hadn't played some of these teams. You know, even last year, you know, we didn't play Kansas State. We didn't play Texas Tech. I mean, we're playing those 2 guys this year. And, you know, we're going to Iowa State. We're going to some places where we haven't gone. And, you know, and TCU we didn't play. They're coming up. So we got a lot of new teams, too. You know, we didn't play last year. You know, but still having played in the league, we were able to watch some crossover film. So I think that helps with some of that, you know. And then we play, you know, we play Colorado and Arizona State. So that's the 2 teams we play out of the new 4. So, you know, those are 2 that you're not real familiar with, you know. But yeah, I mean, once this thing settles down, if it ever does, maybe we can know these opponents and start figuring them out better.
I don't know if you've heard of the coach from Colorado. He's a little-known man.
Yeah, well, he's been there just a couple of years. I've heard a little bit about him.
Yeah. You know, the way that college football has changed so much and will continue to change, how do you just kind of have to go, today it's this way, and I'm going to do it today this way, and then when I get up the day they tell me you have to do this different, then we're going to do it that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's how you have to do it. I mean, you know, what we're talking about now with this stuff that they're putting in the courts now, where now you're going to have it in-house, you know, and be able to compensate players in-house in your athletic department. I mean, that may be coming down the pipe as soon as next year. And, you know, we're just now dealing with all this NIL stuff that we're having to go out and raise money for you know, to compensate our guys and to give them all kind of packages. And so, and then the transfer portal over the last 4 years. So, I mean, yeah, we're kind of, you know, you're sitting here, and then now we got all these conference realignment and moving around. There's so much going on, new rules, you know, and so, yeah, you just kind of take it day by day. And I think having gone through that 2020 year, because there were so many changes during that one short period of time, that it's kind of just set us up for these last 4. I mean, to be so much change.
So now that you're a part, year 2 of this conference, how much did being a part of the conference, regardless of the record, help you when it comes to attracting athletes from high schools and or the transfer portal to come play for Cincinnati?
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps because now you have a base knowledge of the league and what it's going to take for us. I mean, what kind of player do we need to be recruiting? And then also we can, you know, relay to them, like, here, you can certainly help us on a big stage here compete for the Big 12. You know, if you never played in the Big 12, you just don't know some of those things, you know. And, you know, having done that, I think we got a great perspective on it, and it's a much better place now. And, you know, now, do we have enough good, talented players to win it all? You know, that remains to be seen. But I think at least you have an idea about what you need.
I feel like every team, and there's been a bunch that have joined the Big 12 over the years, there's a couple of things that usually always happens is the depth piece, and you realize we got to get more depth, especially along the lines. But it's also, man, Iowa State's defense is they've got answers for like almost everything. Tyson Bite, you mentioned him earlier. You introduced him months ago at this point, but what's that relationship been like? And when did it kind of, I guess, lock in for you of like Iowa State? They seem to kind of have that secret recipe that seems to work really well for what we're going to be facing.
Well, Matt Campbell and I worked together in 2009 at Toledo, and I've known him for a long time and got great respect for him and what he does and how he runs his program. And I didn't know Tyson, but obviously I knew about their defense. And I've watched Matt, over the years, beat Oklahoma, beat Texas, beat some of these teams. I think he went and played in the Fiesta Bowl one year. Did an outstanding job. And to me, on the outside looking in, with some players that were maybe not as talented or maybe not as notable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he just did it with some good college football players. And when our DC left, and I was like, man, who on his staff, on that defensive staff, could I talk to? And Tyson was from Ohio, and it was just I interviewed him. It was awesome, and he knows the defense inside and out. Assistant head coach for them, and so it was just a good fit. So the spring's been outstanding, and now we're still, everybody's still learning, our staff, our players, but I'm glad he's on our team, and I'm glad we have him as we head into year 2 of Big 12.
It's great to see you again.
Yeah, thank you,
welcome
guys.
to year number 2. Good luck this year. Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it. Good
Scott
to talk to you guys.
Satterfield, head coach at Cincinnati, here in Vegas, Big 12 Media Days. Thank you, Zach. John Cunningham, AD at Cincinnati, will join us here in just a moment.